and get ready to zoom in to our previews. In the first one, we start with LSU at Ole Miss. Going into this week, we talked a lot. I think the most about this game. It's kind of the scariest game to pick because you just don't know if Ole Miss is going to show up. Well, this year they did. The Rebels won 24-19. Lane Kiffin continues his winning form in defending his home turf against the Bayou Bengals. Slow start for them as well, I would say. I watched a bit of it in the beginning. Then I had to do some things in between halftime and the beginning of the second half, and then got back into it where Ole Miss eventually pulled away. But again, they struggled there in the first half and kind of figuring out where they needed to attack. And Trinidad Chablis definitely did not disappoint. Who disappointed this past game? Well, it was Garrett Nussmeier, unfortunately. But Trinidad Chablis had an excellent game. 314 yards through the air. He was 23 for 39 in his pass completions. Attempts, one touchdown through his first interception, as it was only his third start. You know, did a throw one against Tulane the week before against Arkansas. Had a clean record there. But eventually you're going to throw one, and it makes a hell of a lot of sense if you're going to be doing it against the LSU defense. K1 Lacey came in clutch as well. He had 87 yards on the ground. Ole Miss definitely needed to establish some kind of attack there again to help out Trinidad through the air, who also got 71 yards himself. That again opened up a lot of things, and him scrambling, not getting taken down so easily. I think his experience there at the D2 level, where he won a national championship last year for Ferris State, has really shown here so far in his first three starts. I know there were some moments towards the end where they were trying to close out the game. Maybe you could say he made some errors. I just think he's just trying to do the best he can for his Ole Miss Rebels. 170 total yards on the ground for Ole Miss. There's not much more you can ask for. Chablis in his kind of big first huge start against a very, very good team, almost had 400 yards. And if he keeps this up without even starting the first two games of the season, he will be on a lot of finalist lists again at the end of the year, and he might win one or two of those trophies. I don't know about the Heisman, but again, if he continues this form, he will be in those conversations. And I would say Ole Miss again off to a slow start. It was at 7-3 there in the first quarter. Ended up going into halftime with the lead, 17-7. So it was a little bit of a flip of a coin. Lane Kiffin making those adjustments along with his offensive coordinator, Charlie Weiss Jr. And they just really wore LSU down. I think the craziest stat we talked about going into this week was the amount of possession time Ole Miss has not had versus their opponents, and completely outclassing them as well and outscoring them. If I'm not mistaken, a total of 104 points more than their opponents going into this game, and then averaging a outscoring point record of 26 per game. Here they won by, well, what's the math? 24-19. That's 5 points, which is kind of interesting because our points difference was 7. We said 31-24. Again, it ended up being 24-19. It's the year of the defense. Defenses are going to be a hell of a lot better. In previous matchups, you know, this one has been 55-49. That's when Ole Miss won in 2023. Last year, it was 29-26, which was an overtime game. So it was a little bit more similar to the one that was in Baton Rouge last year where LSU actually won. But again, time of possession, this is the first game Ole Miss has actually had the ball more versus their opponents, and they're still winning. And that's pretty impressive. I think the big thing that the LSU offense could not do, and that was run the ball. This Ole Miss defense is pretty legit. I was a little worried in the offseason when I was looking at what was coming in for them, what has left, looked like it wasn't going to be good enough, but the veteran linebacker core in there with some transfers in the defensive front and a lot of transfers in that secondary has really meshed. But Lane Kiffin, one of the best guys in the country in roster turnover, and he's really turned over this roster into a lethal force. Again, beating the AP number 4. Here at your Sports Outpost, we had LSU at number 7. So this was a top 10 game. Ole Miss was at number 9. We'll talk about a little bit more of them again at the end of the stream of where they land in our new top 25. But again, LSU struggles on offense. They ran into a really great defense. 2 for 11 on third down. You're just going to have a bad time. And then on top of that, I think they had 5 drives that ended up being punts that were no more than 5 plays. Those are just wastes of series of having the ball. I think 3 of those are basically 3 and outs as well. So this approach again through the air doesn't seem like it's going to be working whatsoever against elite teams. And that what is Ole Miss is. Yes, I don't know exactly what I said there, but yes, Ole Miss is a legit elite team, whether you like it or not. 197 yards through the air for Garrett Nussmeier. Not the worst day. He threw an interception, had a touchdown as well, 21 for 34. But we talked about even if he has 400 yards, LSU still has a chance of losing that game because they can't control the time in terms of possession. They don't know how to pace themselves. And then on top of that, their running game is just almost non-existent, especially with Caden Durham not in the lineup. He was questionable going into this game. He didn't get a single touch. 59 yards on the ground. That's just pathetic. You have to be better there. 2.8 on average per carry. And then on top of that, if my math is correct, Ole Miss had about 27 more plays on offense versus LSU. So the defense on top of that was on the field for way too long. And again, this is why this LSU offense cannot operate and continue like this in big games for the rest of the season. It just cannot happen if they want to win and possibly get into the college football playoff, because it doesn't look like they're going to get into the SEC championship. You know, my outlook in the offseason, I wasn't expecting this team to be in the SEC championship. The receiver core doesn't also seem to be elite enough to allow Garrett Nussmeier to sling it as well. And then on top of that, the offensive line isn't as good as it was. I mean, when you lose 4 guys to the NFL, you can expect to have the same amount of time that you had in 2024 here in 2025. So we kind of knew the writing on the wall before this game even kicked off of what could happen. We just didn't know, again, the new pieces that Ole Miss has brought in this season, and it's working out real well. And again, when you keep your defense out on the field for too long, there was a really nasty clip of, I think it was Whit Weeks or one of the Week brothers, throwing up right before a snap, trying to catch his mouthpiece in midair and then putting it back in, and then the snap goes off. Like, that was how worked this defense was. And unfortunately, they broke down there a little bit, had to basically chase this game after halftime. And if you're doing that with the Ole Miss Rebels, you're just not going to be winning that game. This is why, again, the Rebels win 24-19. And it's kind of weird. This is like one where we almost basically got everything completely right in terms of what we predicted. Trinidad Chablis truly arriving and getting Ole Miss another win at home. That was our big difference maker at the end. And then also coming down to which offense was going to be more efficient. And the more efficient offense, who made the better adjustments as well as they struggled early, was the home team, and that was the Rebels. But before we move on, hit that thumbs up button. Let us know if you're an LSU or Ole Miss fan. If you're a Rebel fan, you're probably pretty happy after this past weekend's results as you win the 114th Magnolia Bowl between you and the Bayou Bengals, taking that nice little flower trophy home for at least one more year. We'll see if you can recapture it there in Baton Rouge in 2026. As we zoom out.